Hey, coming up on today's podcast, we got a great lineup today, and we actually have a special guest on the show today, so pretty excited about that. Keith, what's the first story we want to talk about today? What's coming up?
I'm here for the Lego, Jay.
Oh, we're going to talk a little Lego action?
Got some Lego cars from one of your favorite brands.
Oh, yeah. That sounds great. We're going to get into that. Also, today, we're going to get into a little bit of Rivian news. The most anticipated delivery of all time. We're going to talk about how Rivian is coming along with the new R1T electric pickup truck. So stay tuned for that. And what else we got?
We got Tesla caught doing something with the charging speeds. This is according to a court ruling. It might be nefarious. It might not.
And finally, we're going to talk a little bit about, I don't know if it's the worst intern job or the best intern job, but just know that if you are a Nissan owner, you will be impacted by this. So all that coming up on today's show. Stay tuned. Hey, everybody, welcome into the podcast, the Counter Show, the show of shows, the greatest show on earth, I think. Don't you, Keith?
Sure.
May I have a beer? Hey, I'll tell you what I'm talking about. I'm on location.
How's that High-Lie?
That's a really good beer, actually.
It's easy. It's the only green and orange can I've ever seen, so it's pretty easy to spot.
I have been to this brewery. My son and I went out on a beer run that lasted about 4 hours. I think he told his wife we were just running down to the store, but we ended up driving into town and hitting the distributors. So it's a great beer. It's actually higher ABV than I thought it would be, 7.5%. But the IBUs are low. 65, so it's not so bitter. It's a really good beer. Now, do you know what High-Lie is?
Yeah, I watched Miami Vice.
So you've seen the game?
Yeah, I watched Miami Vice.
Okay. Well, it's a real deal.
It's in the opening well, no kidding. Yeah, that was one of the only arenas in the United States was in Miami.
It's the only place, yeah.
Yeah.
You can bet on them. Yeah.
Yeah. It's more of an equator-based. Like, we're a little bit too far north.
Pretty dangerous game.
Yeah.
They wore the gear, though they were protected. So, hey, fun to watch. I used to watch a little bit of it as a kid when I lived in South Florida. In fact, I think my dad probably remembers it.
Wait,
Remember
what?
High-Lie? Yeah.
Wait, what?
Yeah. Did I mention I had a special guest on the show today?
What you talking about?
Yeah, right. How about that, man?
Okay.
Yeah.
And what guest? Tell us about this guest.
Well, this guest happens to be my dad, who is the very reason why I have been in the automotive industry since I was about 13 years old. So most of my life, actually, I've been in the automotive industry longer than I've been married. Twice. Oh, sorry, did I just say that?
Yeah, well, now it's out there. But so Dad's sitting in.
Yeah, Dad is here.
You're kind of sitting in with Dad, I think is really, that's a little bit more truthful.
Yeah, so we talked about my dad a little bit in the past. Well, not a little bit, quite a bit, because he pretty much helped shape me as a young man in life. And I picked up a lot of good advice over the years from my dad. He's helped me out a tremendous amount over the years. Even though he thought I may have not been paying attention, I actually was paying attention, and that it's showing these days. I actually listen to him a lot better these days. I guess that comes through the maturation process.
I think there's this realization that Dad
really does know best.
You turn a corner at some point.
Exactly. So Dad got out of the parts business probably in the
82.
Is it 1982, Dad?
1982.
Yeah, 1982.
April of 1982.
April of 19. There you go.
That's kind of scary. He's got
right. So my dad has always had a love for building, wood craftsmanship.
I would not guess that based on where you are right now.
Yeah, in fact, he built this CNC sitting behind me. That's his CNC. He's more of a hobbyist these days than anything, but builds. He'll take on some special project for friends to get some stuff out there. Matter of fact, today we worked through a couple of them. I helped him saw some wood. I got a little dusty. I haven't been this dirty in a long time, to be quite honest with you. I mainly came just to kind of give him a hand around the house, and then he's like, just let that stuff sit, son. I need you to help me out over here on this. So we worked out a few projects together and had a couple of beers.
Yeah. Well, good. That's what it's all about for sure.
So that timeline, he my dad was also a school teacher. I don't know if you and I ever discussed that, but he tried his hand at teaching building construction, and did that for a while, and just decided to kind of go out on his own. And he built some homes, quite a few, a lot of commercial buildings, and then just his love for wood craftsmanship,
right?
Put him on a path to building custom cabinets and furniture and those sorts of things. So that's kind of where he's over the last several decades. That's kind of where his forte has been.
Did you show him my gazebo?
I didn't show him your gazebo, no.
Well, we exchanged pictures yesterday. You sent me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you sent me that parking lot, the empty parking lot, and I sent you back a picture of mine.
I did. Here, let me show it to him, though. I can show it to him. So, did you build that gazebo,
Yeah,
Keith?
I built it myself, and it was all...
Did it come from...
it's all
Home
machine...
Depot?
It's machine cut. It came in a kit. So...
Yeah, let's see here.
I did none of the cutting.
It's machine cut, but you built it, huh?
Yeah, I just finished it yesterday.
Looks great.
Thanks.
Looks great.
Yeah.
I built
I just put screws together, and that's pretty much it, right? Read the directions.
Right. There you go. Would you say that?
I built a hexagon gazebo for the town of Hampton, which is still standing, and it's been there about 30 years. So,
yeah, it's kind of funny as a kid. Your dad builds all these things for the city,
and you're like, my dad, yeah.
And right. I mean, I'm totally riding through when I have friends like, yeah, my dad built that. I actually helped put the roof on that, and yeah, and they're still standing, sort of stuff. So yeah, it's pretty cool to be back home, hanging out with him, and with COVID and everything, we were all kind of locked down. Everybody couldn't travel, so.
Yeah, period of time there when you guys were just doing FaceTime, and that's it.
That's it. That's all we could do, and so he's pretty happy to have me come along and give him a hand or two. So it's fun. It's been nice. It's been relaxing, and trust me, it's not been all work. It's been a little play here. I've eaten everything under the southern planet. Like boiled peanuts.
Nothing wrong with that. Yeah.
No, watermelon. Fried squash. I've had so much fried squash, Keith.
Yeah. This is all southern food at its best, man.
Absolutely it is. It is fantastic. So
picked right out of the garden.
Yeah, right out of the garden, even.
There you go.
So you got any questions for the guy over here to my right?
Well, I might need a we might need to set up like a little chat thread or something between the three of us, or just for future use.
Well, I'm just going to put this out there. I talked to him today about a couple of things and what he might be able to do for me, for the Parts Counter Gurus, something kind of unique. And, all of our fans, and by the way, fans, for those of you that are out there listening, we are the Parts Counter Gurus, and you can catch us over on partscountergurus.com. We're on every major platform out there, to include Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google, you name it. We're there. While you're there, please subscribe. You can catch us over on social media, which is facebook.com/partscountergurus. You can also catch us over on Instagram, and that is instagram.com/thepartscountergurus. We're also on Twitter, and our Twitter handle is @thecountershow, which is what you are listening to now. And for any video segments that you might want to watch, some of this stuff gets put up over there. Please go to youtube.com/partscountergurus, and while you're there, hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to click the old bell over there so that you are notified when any new episodes are coming. Which, by the way, we are kicking butt this month in subscribers. So thank you to all of you.
Yeah, thanks to everybody for helping us continue to grow. It's been a pretty fun thing to watch the fruits of our labor.
Right.
And I certainly couldn't do that without all of you all.
Absolutely. So where I was going with this, our logo, our PCG logo that you guys see on this very iconic logo, I've discussed it with my dad. I might get him to make a little custom-built clock that is the PCG logo that we might maybe give away on one of our podcasts. So in order to do that, though, you have to be subscribed to our YouTube channel, and you got to leave us a comment that you are interested in such a thing. And I think I might be able to pull his arm to fire up the old CNC to maybe create something like that for us. So we'll see.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Handcrafted by my dad.
Well, then he has to sign it, you know.
Well, we can get him to do that too. We can get him to put the old stamp of approval on it. You know, inspector number 1.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, right.
That would be my wife.
Oh, is that right? Yeah. You heard what he said, right?
I did. Yeah.
Okay.
We all get that. Yeah.
We're all on the same page. So what do we want to get into today? Is there anything we want to roll on to our the subjects at hand?
I picked this one, and I'm gonna go ahead and own up to this because it'd be a little weird for Jay with grown kids to pick this, but we're still in the Lego phase from time to time. We do a few of them, and I gotta admit, like, I enjoy kind of building these things probably just as much, if not more, than my son does. So
I gotta admit, if I had some laying around, I would probably be there.
It's a great therapeutic little, like we would do it before he would go to bed. I set up a little table in his room, and we'd just spend 15, 20 minutes, pull the book open from where we left it the night before, and do 2 or 3 pages, and I don't know, it's just kind of fun. And so and then you get into this, Jay, and you find out, like, people have their own weird, like, some people glue them together, so it's almost like puzzles, right?
So you never get them apart.
Yeah, some people are purists and they won't use any stickers because they're like, well, I could take those parts and use them for something else later if I don't have the stickers on. I mean, there's this whole, like, everybody's got
aren't we cataloging these pieces these days too, so that you can get it right?
Just like we have the automotive industry has their cataloging system, which, Jay, you and I know very, very well. Yep. Yes, they have a massive cataloging system, literally brick by brick. Every single part and type ever made, you can go out there and look up. You can do it by kit number. So you could go look up, like, any kit that's ever been made, and they will tell you how many pieces are in it and exactly what those pieces are. You, in theory, could build your own just by getting the kit, the pieces
that you already have,
piece by piece from that kit. Yeah, if you knew what those were. Right.
So do you guys, do you in SideShot, do you inventory those?
I do keep we do, but here's the reason that we do it is because sometimes we'll take them apart, or they get played with. Stuff's made to be played with, and stuff comes off and it falls apart. Well, I can go look up, like, well, here's how many pieces, we're missing pieces, and I can go look up and see what those are supposed to be.
So that's pretty cool. So, but how many have you stepped on in your lifetime?
Oh man, I mean those things are so painful. So okay, so
anything come out of your mouth?
Sure, probably. Not I don't know.
Right.
Maybe. Mm-hmm. So the reason we're getting into this is, as some of you may know, the SRT team may be dead, as we've reported.
We hope not,
previously.
but we hear it is.
Yeah.
Yep.
But the Lego version, not so much. So Stellantis, this is coming officially from Stellantis. And again, for those of you that don't know who that is, that's the automotive group that owns Chrysler, Mopar, Dodge, Jeep, Fiat,
What
Chrysler.
was once FCA is now Stellantis. Yep. They got bigger.
So they announced a new partnership with Lego, and they are doing another version of the Speed Champions. Now, we did, Jay, and I sent you pictures of this years back. We did a Speed Champions version, Sideshot and I did, of the Mini Cooper. They did a Speed Champions.
I recall.
So they have a Speed Champions that's about to come out now that's got the SRT Top Fuel Dragster and the 1970 Dodge Challenger. And the Challenger,
the TA, which is the Trans Am version, the TA.
Yep. So now I think they're separate kits, but they're doing the official purple. It's called Plum Crazy, which came out in 1970. That will be in the
that was part of the. I'm sorry, that was part of the Grabber color schemes, the Grabber packages, right? You remember that you had a Plymouth satellite, and it had, of course, I think it was a custom paint job.
We had the metal flake.
It's like a bowling ball green color.
That's
great stuff.
Yeah, they did some cool colors.
And
I like how they brought some of that back in the, they brought those colors back for the current generation of those cars. The Challenger, for example, there's a purple version out.
Yes, there's a guy here in the neighborhood that has one.
Yeah. There you go.
I've seen it a couple times since I've been here. So
this is the first purple car in the Lego Speed Champion series. It'll be the Dodge Challenger. The Dragster.
First?
Yeah, first purple one.
That's crazy.
Plum Crazy. They're using the official color.
Well, that's crazy.
And then the top Dragster has a female driver, and the Challenger has a male driver. And
Name me one Top Fuel drag racer, female. Give me her name. First one that comes to mind.
I don't know because I don't follow that. Oh, man.
Okay, can I give it to you?
Yeah, go ahead.
Shirley Muldowney. Okay. Better known as Cha-Cha Muldowney.
Yeah, I don't... Sorry, it's not my...
Yep, she raced way back in the 70s. She was pretty fast, and she was very well respected amongst the racing community. I met her once. I was a little kid, but I met her once. And that was on the Funny Car Summer Tour. Yeah. And for those of you gearheads out there, that was a great movie. And so I checked that out, and then we went to a race and met her. And I had an autographed picture of her from way back. But I also met Big Daddy Don Garlitz on that tour. So anyway, I digress.
Yeah. But
cool stuff.
Yeah. Anything I say at this point would just get us negative ratings. So I'm going to be quiet. That's a little outside my area of experience. Now, if you want to talk like, MotoGP or World Superbike or Moto America,
all over that.
Sure.
I would definitely be the odd one out there, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I like watching that stuff. I'm a big fan of it, but I don't know like specific riders or drivers in any of those circuits. So
it's all fun to watch.
Very cool stuff.
Yeah.
So, is this going to be on your Christmas list this year?
It might. Yeah. Well, we don't have any official release date, do we? I didn't see one.
I did not see one either. It just basically says that 2021 marks the year that Dodge is distilled into a pure performance brand, offering Hellcat-powered 700-plus horsepower SRT versions of every model across the lineup. Like I like to say, everybody's downsizing, and you got Dodge cramming Hellcats into minivans, man. So there you go. This is cool.
A smart move for them because it's helping.
I think so.
Promote their brand awareness. I think, which they kind of need to do right now. So,
which, as we had discussed on a previous podcast, they had disbanded the SRT team. Not necessarily disbanded it, but they kind of disperse them amongst the Stellantis group.
Right.
So I think we might see some exciting things coming down the road with Stellantis. So that remains to be seen. So we'll see what happens with that. So, all right.
So I have a question. Actually, I have two questions for you.
Okay.
Number one, are you ready to stir the pot a little bit?
I always love to stir the pot, Keith.
And
you know me, my friend.
have you had any conversations with Dad about EVs? And if not, maybe we...
Yeah, we have. We've talked, Dad and I have actually talked extensively about electric vehicles and the current, situation in this country with oil and fuel and the gas engine going away potentially. I mean, he's on the same page, as we are, which is, yes, we know they're making big moves. A lot of the automakers have obviously gone there, but it remains to be seen whether or not that'll be successful in regards to infrastructure and being able to support that.
Right.
So he's very aware of what is happening. He's old school, like most of us gearheads are. We want the gasoline engine to stay around just because of what it is.
Yeah.
But we find it hard to believe that some of these goals of 2035 are actually achievable.
Well, and, it's kind of like, a 5-year plan that they are, presenting. They're presenting their 20-year plan, and they're going to change that plan in 5 years, So they're going to adjust it.
Mm-hmm. Let's get it. What do you think?
I think it's feasible. It would be interesting to see how someone would come up with perpetual charging of these and I understand. I think some people are using their braking system to generate power to recharge the batteries. I think that's going to be where it is. Is it possible? I think it is, and it just takes a lot of research and trial and error to reach these goals. And but really, if this comes to pass, which I think Ford says by 2035 and GM, that they wouldn't be making any more gasoline. But that's a broad statement. But
I don't think they can do it in a blanket. Like there's going to have to be heavy duty stuff, and
Yeah, we're in complete agreement with that, Dad, and that is truly the case. That we understand the movement in the direction that it's going, but we think that some of these predictions or goals that they have of in the next decade to achieving that.
Yep.
I don't. It's right now with current technology and current battery technology. I don't know that it's possible. Keith and I have always agreed that if you're going to get there, we feel that the EV market is going to probably have to change. So what we know now as battery technology is going to be completely different in the next decade.
I mean,
that's just how it works.
We already know, Nissan, for example, is, we think, working on something kind of like what your dad just said there, where perpetual power from a very fuel efficient, thermally efficient engine, and that sort of stuff. So, and for those of you just dropping in on this segment, not catching the full podcast, which by the way you can do over at partscounterguru.com, click on the podcast tab near the top left. That's Jay's dad sitting off camera, which I'm really thrilled that Jay could, first of all, talk him into doing this, and second, carve out some time while he's hanging with his dad to sit in with us.
Yeah, he's put in a full shift today with me, so I am very appreciative of that. I'm in his personal space here, but this is his getaway. So trust me, this is his happy place.
So it's the best. That's no better place to record a podcast then. So we've got Rivian. And I mentioned when we kind of started this segment about stirring the pot. So there's this. It's really interesting from we as Americans love to pick teams. We love to pick sides. We love to we love the clashing over differences of points of view and opinions. So we have this whole thing going on right now in this country with electric pickups and who's going to be the first one to production.
Who is that?
I mean, so
who's going to be?
What you want me to say? What you want me to say? What I'm not going to say is that Lordstown Motors claims that they're going to be the first. Now they threw in the first commercial pickup truck. I still don't. That's just marketing to me. But you've got Rivian, you've got Tesla with their Cybertruck, which technically is a pickup truck, and you've got Ford that just announced the F-150 Lightning. You've got GM and the Hummer EV, which is also a truck. Well, who's going to get there first, right? And, I don't even know that first matters that much, except that we all are now watching this contest.
Well, I don't think that it matters either to the industry. But it matters to me because we got some people out there that just seem to think that it's going to happen with a specific company, and it's not going to.
Well,
they're not going to be first. It may not even happen.
Unless there is an advantage. I'm still not going to take the bait. Unless there's an advantage, kind of think like Microsoft did, right? Mm-hmm. When you think about Apple and Microsoft got there first in terms of having the better marketing and staking their claim in the business sector back in the late 80s, early 90s. And they experienced a lot of success because of that it took Apple almost went bankrupt. They had to borrow money from Microsoft, and it took them decades to recover. So getting there first could potentially, from a sales perspective, it could matter. I guess I'm kind of stepping back from what I said earlier. But why does this guy, Steve, what's his name at Lordstown, care about being first? What does that matter to him?
Well, I think because of his investors, I think that he's throwing that shade out there because he knows that he's got a lot at stake here, and he wants to keep everybody interested in his product. Now, let me just say this. Let me be very clear to our listeners out there, Keith, which, by the way, thank you for watching this episode of Parts Counter Gurus. If you like this segment, please hit the subscribe button and click that bell so you're notified every time a video like this comes out. For those of you listening to this, thank you. I hope that they are successful at it because we need to have options for consumers out there. Okay?
Absolutely.
Don't stop at just Tesla and Rivian. Okay, so you've got Tesla, Rivian, Ford, GM. Everybody's out there going to put a truck out, and that's fantastic. However, Lordstown continues to have a little issue here or there, and delaying the first production vehicle. But we have someone here. Yes.
Well, I was just about to say that the fat lady's not singing yet because
that's right.
Now we have information from Rivian that they are delaying their release. So they're in production. Right. They're already in production. But they are pushing back the release and the first deliveries until July of 2021.
That's right.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Instead of
July
June.
of 2021 instead of June. Now, albeit that is not that big of a deal in the bigger scheme of things.
It's 1 month. Okay.
It's 1 month. But what I found interesting, and I'll read this to you guys, and this is from an article we picked up. Rivian said that deliveries of the R1T Launch Edition, the limited edition release of its first series of electric adventure vehicles, will be delayed by a month, according to an update on its website. Now, customers who pre-ordered can now expect to start receiving their pickup in July instead of June. And then the launch edition deliveries will be completed, they say, in spring of 2022.
So it'll take them 6 to 8 months to complete deliveries.
Deliveries on that. Now, if you think about that, 1 month is not that big of a deal. What I found most interesting, and Keith, you and I did not know this, the chip shortage obviously has really, really messed up production for a lot of the automakers. But apparently Rivian is building a vehicle that does not require as many of them, is what they're saying. And it hasn't really... It has affected and delayed a little bit, but not as much as one would think.
Fewer parts in these EVs. Yep. Which you've been saying for a long time.
It's not the root cause.
Yeah.
Right. It's not the root cause, so...
It's a combination of small issues, shipping delays, which, that goes all the way back to the ports in LA and being backed up and stuff getting, just anything coming internationally, there's just been all kinds of delays. Can you believe this? I was, we're getting ready to go on a trip, and I've got a motorhome, and I was out looking to change the oil in both the actual motorhome, the engine, and then I've got a Cummins generator in there that takes different oil. And I was going to change the oil in both of those. Everybody's out of motor oil.
Right.
Right. To be fair, I could find it, but I would have to switch over to a different brand that I wasn't used to using. Or on I'm kind of particular on the motorhome. They put the fill tube so far up, it's literally sitting right underneath the dash. And I can't take those gallon size. They won't the big gallon size containers. I can't get them to go into a funnel. I have to use the little quart. And that's okay. But I digress. That's not what we're talking about here. But the point is, these delays are becoming commonplace. And
absolutely, they are.
A month pushback isn't really, oops, we messed up at Rivian and we have to go back and fix something in our production system, as much as it is we just can't get parts.
Exactly. And just that, and the pandemic has it's a trickle down effect, if you will, or ripple effect, because they had started construction on the expansion of one of their facilities, but they had to slow it down because of the pandemic. So they're still feeling some of that overall, from the pandemic. So a lot of that is kind of coming in, but it seems to me they have done a really good job of keeping pace. Yeah. On pace with that and keeping their promises. RJ Scaringe is, if you follow him on Twitter, which I recommend everyone do, he is continuously updating his customer base.
He's a total gearhead. He's a guy. I have a feeling he's a guy we can sit around and have a beer with. The three of us and him.
I would love to sit down. Oh, by the way, RJ Scaringe, sir, Mr. CEO of Rivian, I'd love to sit down and talk to you.
Well,
so
you guys are practically neighbors, so
we are. By the way, we're going to be at SEMA, sir. So you should go check us out.
Well, go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, I was just going to say this. Despite the delay, it still looks like Rivian.
Here we go.
Sorry, Lordstown fans. It still looks like Rivian will be the first. Just saying.
There you go, everybody.
I don't have a crystal ball.
Hey, if you want to find
out,
if you want to come back and tell Jay he was wrong, hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, follow us when it happens. We welcome your comments. We'll talk about it in an upcoming segment. How's that?
There you go. All right.
So,
Rivian news. I love Rivian news. Rivian's good news always. Even the bad is good.
Yeah.
So there you go. Now, you were speaking of oil changes, Keith.
Yeah.
Just moments ago.
Yeah.
Sticking to a brand. How you stick to a brand.
I mean,
I'm gonna lean on an old expert over here.
Okay.
Everybody, to my seniors in my life, my elders in my life, have always been one to advise that you stick to a specific brand.
Yeah.
Don't veer off the course unless it's an absolute necessity. But we can say, as people who are in the automotive parts sales business, aftermarket parts sales business, we would always recommend specific grades and brands of oil, and recommend that you stick with them. Is that not that's kind of what you always did, right?
We had in the school that I was teaching building construction, had the auto mechanics guy believed in sticking to, once you started with a brand of oil, you should stick with it, because he experienced some smoking if you changed brands of oil. I think it has a lot to do with the viscosity of the oil, but rather than the brands. But I'm sure that I stick with the brand.
Right. Gasoline, do you stick with the same brand of gasoline most of the time?
I use the same gasoline.
See, and to this day, that's stuck with me.
Yeah.
I have put nothing but the same brand of gas and same brand of oil in any vehicle I've ever owned, and I've stuck with it.
I just use whatever I want, and I throw Slick 50 in there. It's fine.
Not a good thing.
For me, using the same brand of gasoline is just a matter of habit. Everybody, that's proven that once you get used to going to a certain filling station, it's just you in a habit that you stop there no matter what the brand is. But when I'm traveling, what's available, that's what I use.
Yeah. Well, and he's got a point there. So,
right.
If I'm being honest, and I wish more people would just own up to stuff like this. So yeah, I mean, I got these ladies in the neighborhood that complain about people parking on streets, and they always go, well, we're so worried about the little children. They're going to run out in front of a car. And then I'm the guy, Jay, sitting at the HOA meeting going, the speed limit is 25. And they're like, yeah, we're just worried. And I'm going, a modern car will start in 5 feet at 25 miles an hour. Like, how fast are you go? So it's not that it's not the parking on the street that you have an issue with. It's that you're speeding. And you just don't want to. And you can't respond because there's cars. Okay, so anyway, I digress. If I'm being honest, I have, I'll always have a quart or two left because I buy an extra one and I'll leave it with me and I'll travel with it. That way, after a change, if I'm a little low, I can top it off, right?
Right.
Well, you always end up with an extra quart or two. Well, then the next time I go to the store, I just want to buy the same stuff that I've already got because it's easier.
Right.
I don't want to start over and then I've got an extra quart and a half sitting here that I'll never use and then it's taking up space because I switch brands. So it's easier just to stay with the brand, right?
Well, I get it, but I mean, for example, if brake pads, okay, for you listeners out there, find a great brake pad with a reputable quality report. Like, for example, and I'm just going to throw this name out there, Rebestas, right? For the aftermarket, they're a brand that's reliable, and I think that you get good service out of them. I sold a ton of their product. They're a very well-known aftermarket supplier. But obviously, they're not a Brembo or anything like that. So, you've got differences of level. But as far as just a normal aftermarket product for servicing a normal vehicle for normal daily use, that they're great. But yeah, there are certain things that I would recommend. Now, wiper blades, on the other hand, man, I am game to try anything because I don't think any of them's getting it right.
Just bought, literally 2 months ago, the most expensive wiper blades that the place had for my wife's car because it's the only one that they had in. So you have to buy them individually now, right? And I think my wife's car was 2 different sizes. So one was a 16-inch and one was an 18-inch or something like that.
Right.
And so it was the only brand and line in that auto parts store that had both the same, so Bosch will have a good, better, best.
Right.
And it was I didn't want to buy one that was their top of the line and then one that was their bottom of the line. I wanted them to be a match set, right?
Sure.
So literally had to just buy the most expensive ones they had. And I borrow the car today to go get my motor oil, ironically, and it starts raining and I get squeak, 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 squeak. And I'm like, man, I put these things on not even 2 months ago.
Yeah, a little WD-40 on there will help.
Oh, yeah, that'll fix it right up. So
yeah, WD-40 is good on everything.
Now, speaking of brands and, just gasoline, there's a lot of stir lately. We reported on this recently with GM about charging stations. And do you have to stick to your brand of charging station? And, GM's working on some solutions so you don't. So they have a group. Of course, Tesla is kind of the one that they have their own branded charging station. But little secret for you guys that don't know, you can charge a Tesla at a lot of these aftermarket third-party ones too, and it'll work.
Right.
It just may not work as fast.
Right.
So Tesla, we got some news coming out of Norway, and apparently, I didn't even know, did they have courts in Norway? I thought they were all Norse gods with, okay, anyway.
Right, man. Yeah.
A court in Norway found
Give
Tesla...
that man a beer. Yeah, there you go. Yes.
Found Tesla guilty of throttling their charging speeds and battery capacities through software updates. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, so far, I don't know if this is if they only push these updates out to Norway or if they did it in the rest of the world or not. But in Norway, unless Tesla appeals and wins, they're talking something to the extent of $16,000 payout to each of the Tesla owners that are affected by the software update. That's a pretty big deal.
That is a big deal. That's a lot of cash going back to these guys. Now, so the bottom line is that there were software updates that would be pushed to these vehicles.
Yep.
And it would prevent them from charging as they should.
Yeah, so we just started this podcast talking about this, and here we go, coming full circle. This is I like to call this Generation 1 in EVs. I know you guys can go back to, GM had an EV in the 90s, and it was technically the first electric car and all that. But this is really like from the mainstream platform. We're living in Generation 1, okay?
Right.
Most of these are lithium-based batteries. They're not solid state. They're highly volatile. It's a gaseous battery. It's not very stable. They're always in a state of agitation, okay?
Right.
It's the same kind of batteries a lot of us have in our smartphones, tablets, computers, RC cars, and so on, okay?
Sure.
Well, I can tell you from years of experience with those kind of batteries that the faster you charge them and the harder you hit them with a current, the shorter the life expectancy of that battery.
So that's a good angle. I see where you're going with this.
So here we go with people going, well, I want to be able to charge my car faster, and how dare you throttle my battery capacity? When in the long run, Tesla's probably doing it so that they don't have to deal with as many warranty claims, because your battery's not going to last if you keep just hammering that charge. I mean, think about it like this. If you plug your cell phone in and it's got a 95% charge or a 90% charge, it usually won't rapid charge. Or your laptop, right? It's a slower charge from that last 10% so that it doesn't explode your battery.
Right, and we've talked about this with cell phone technology, how they've come along with that, where it recognizes when you're using your phone.
Right.
Therefore, it will trickle charge rather than speed
overnight
charge.
Because it's better for the phone.
It's better for the battery.
Yep.
Wow. So here you have this. You've got a situation where just like those cell phone batteries, you've got a car battery that the life of this thing could be much greater. And so Tesla recognizes this, but you got people on the other side of the fence going, well, they're throttling, so it's a bigger deal to them than it is to Tesla. In all actuality, what they should have done is put maybe send the users if this is what's happening, and I don't see any other reason why they would be doing this other than for the maintenance of the batteries, right?
Yeah, I mean, and there's some people here that are owners that have pointed out, like in DC area, the supercharging stations, they have reduced the fast charging rates and all that. Well, they're going to explode your battery. I mean,
right.
You guys, and if I'm Tesla, I'm almost to the point now where, maybe with the exception of that actual part where the battery catches fire, I'd just be like, well, fine, give them what they want. I mean,
I think that
you're going to be buying a new battery platform in 5 years.
Well, yeah, you can do that, but actually, if this, I think that people have to realize that at some point with some of this technology, there's got to be a gatekeeper somewhere. And
this isn't anything new. I mean, when Ford tunes my internal combustion engine on my V10 gas motorhome or my truck, I can go buy the tuner kit and adjust when it shifts and get more horsepower out of it and get in there and screw around with all kinds of stuff through that OEM port or through that OBD port.
Right.
But there's a reason Ford said it the way they did. And ultimately, it's their knowledge that supports that justification. You can do what you want. You're going to void your warranty. I mean, if I were Tesla, I'd almost be like, okay, well, you can have it your way. Sign here because we're not fixing it when you blow it up.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy that they would take the angle, though, that they were throttling them intentionally for other reasons, malicious reasons, which is obviously not. But I can't believe they're...
What? I mean, like, but, yeah, right, so these people are saying it's nefarious. What? But what's your...
Right. I don't understand that. It doesn't make any sense to me. And the fact that they are going to fine them $16,000...
Don't we have to have motive in a crime?
Or they're going to have Tesla give them $16,000.
Is that just me watching too many detective movies? Don't we have to have motive? What's the motive?
There is no motive.
I mean,
I think
seriously.
that I think that this is a story.
We're going to make people wait. It's a global conspiracy to make them stay at McDonald's longer.
Where is this at again? What part of the world is this? God, these guys are warriors. Can they not really deal with that?
Well, they're trying to get on to the next battle, and they can't wait for their car to get charged. I guess I don't know.
Right, crazy man. Well, there you go.
Question.
Got a question
from the consumer point of view. When the electric car comes out, really a lot of them, are the manufacturers going to include a home charging station with the purchase of an automobile?
That is a good question, Keith. Go
ahead.
A
lot of them do have it. A lot of them are putting induction pads in the center console area. The F-150 Lightning is an example of that. They premiered it with wireless charging, they call it, where you just set the phone on a surface and it transfers power through wireless induction charging. But a lot of the vehicles that are already out, like Tesla's, for example, the Model S and the Model 3, they have charging ports in there for your phone. Yeah, absolutely.
Home charging, though.
Home charging stations.
Home charging stations, yes.
For the car?
Supply?
Yes.
So GM is the first that I know of. Jay and I talked about this on a previous podcast. That they are. They say including.
Inclusive.
They're including.
It's pretty inclusive.
A charging station that, for example, you could put on your garage. I think they even have an option that you could put it outside your home if you wanted to. And Jay and I said, well, yeah, but they're just factoring that into the price of the sale of the vehicle, and then you get some sort of like rebate coupon or something to go hire an electrician to hook it up. Yeah, but some of them are, and the reasoning behind that is to sell more vehicles. It takes away the argument of I don't have a way to charge it. Right. Yeah,
and Jeep is making it.
He said home charging station. I thought he said phone charging station.
No. But you answered a couple of questions. Yeah. That's maybe. Did you know that you can do that? Just set your phone down and it charges. Yeah, but that's included in the vehicle now. Yeah. On some of those stuff. Yeah. But like Jeep is their 4xe program. You could go out and they have partnered with Amazon.
Right.
For you to make it easier for you to buy what you need for that to happen. So it's an easier process. So that's a good question.
You still now you guys could do it. If you know your way around electricity, but you're dealing with 220. You gotta be careful. I mean, you got to be careful even if it's 110. But
right. Well, that was part of the some of the discussions that we were having, Keith. And I don't know that a lot of people put the two and two together. You're the one that brought this to my attention, and I never even thought of this. People are saying we don't have the infrastructure to charge EVs, when in fact we do have infrastructure.
Right.
It's there. We just have to connect the dots. A lot of your RV parks, for example, they already are wired for charging stations.
Yeah.
If I'm an RV park, I'm going to offset some of my overhead and advertise that I'm a charging station. Hey, EVers, if you're out here. And it would encourage someone pulling a tow behind to come in and stay at their park.
Why not?
Makes sense,
They've
right?
got a lot of them are high, 40 amp service.
You got it.
Some of the bigger rigs require that. So yeah, why not?
Well, my question is this: can you envision, say, a gas station? You have multiple tanks. You can drive in, and in 5 or 10 minutes, you've filled up your tank and you're on your way. But with a charging station, you're not going to be able to go in there in 10 minutes and have a charge enough to last you any time. So can you envision all these stations full, and you're you're out of electricity
Right.
here, and you pulling in here, and you got to wait 30 minutes before you can even attach.
It's a very good question.
It's going to be some chaos involved.
That is a good point. So I think that problem will be solved in a Generation 2 scenario where they're dealing with something like a solid state battery that can take a faster charging rate without the risk of it exploding. They're getting close to that now. A couple of the ones that Jay and I have reported on lately, they're doing, it's the equivalent of a quarter tank of gas. So you're down to about a 25% charge on the battery, and they'll get you somewhere to about 75, 80% in 12 minutes, 12 to 15 minutes. Not bad. Now, still not as fast as pumping gas, unless you're me in my motorhome with an 80-gallon tank, and then you might actually be done. But I think Generation 2 that becomes more viable because they're either going to solve, like your dad was saying in one of the previous segments, where we've got perpetual power going on from a constantly running motor, capacitor, whatever. Or they're going to be able to hit it with a faster rate of charge because they're using better battery technology, or a combination of all of that. Yeah, because as more and more people buy these things, there are going to be longer lines at charging stations.
Absolutely, and just to kind of give you an idea, everybody is thinking outside of the box. I have to give the battery manufacturers that, and these EV startups, the fact that they are focused on the ease of charging, as well as the efficiency of charging. And I think Kia had made an announcement with the EV6 GT that they can charge in 18 minutes to give it an X number of additional range to get them in a position to go get a full charge if necessary. So there is technology out there that is advancing exponentially. And I think that we're going to, like I said, when we started the podcast, is that EVs are one of those things that they are ever changing, and to be completely carbon neutral with an electric vehicle or alternative fuel type vehicle, you've got to see some drastic changes from where we are now. The EV world is here. It's on us. It's obvious, with Toyota announcing 70 new vehicles by 2025. Everybody else saying carbon neutrality by 2035, Ford 2040.
I mean, that's all marketing to me, because as we know from, look at the Texas ice storms, where that electricity comes from is not always, it's a lot. It's natural gas, it's coal, it's solar, it's wind, it's, geothermal. Those aren't carbon zero production sources in many cases. So, but also keep in mind that it's a little bit of a shift in the mindset. So, whereas, with our internal combustion engines, when my FJ runs out of gas, I don't have a choice. I have to go to a gas station. Okay, these people with electric vehicles, they do have a choice. They can charge at home. So there's a little bit of a shift in the mindset there. The other thing that they tend to get in a different mindset is, they will top off. I was at my little hometown country town in the middle of the Midwest, where it's literally like, I don't even think there was a stoplight in it when I was a kid. Now there's 4 or 5, but they had a grocery store, a brand new grocery store, and over at the end of the parking lot, there's 4 charging stations. And this is rural, right? Farmland.
I told you the trip I took over the pass, several weeks ago. That they had charging stations at the actual state park pullout,
right?
With restrooms and lookovers and stuff.
So people get in this habit of, I'm going to pull in here for 10 minutes, but I'm just going to pull up to this charging station and plug it in,
right?
And they just top off. It's the opposite of my wife, who waits until the light comes on, and it's like you got 15 miles left, and then it's time to start thinking. Then no, then it's time to go home, and then tomorrow we'll think about finding gas.
Hey,
and then it's me that gets in the car and's like, I got 7 miles to make it to a gas station.
Here's my new T-shirt. Hey, gas guys, ice guys, I can fill up at home.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So anyway, so
localized traveling or small in-town traveling, it's very feasible.
Right.
Long distance would take some planning.
Yep.
And I think that would be another added revenue source for motels.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go. See, he's
Dad's always thinking, man.
He's on it. Yeah.
I'm telling you, he's always thinking. Before I leave here, I guarantee you I'll have an idea and I'll bring it to the table and we'll be selling this thing on Parts Counter Gurus. Which, by the way, everybody, while you're listening, you can reach us over on partscountergurus.com. If you're shopping for anything, we have a little icon up in the upper right-hand corner, which is an Amazon icon. If you will click that and do your Amazon shopping through that, it is just a portal into Amazon. We do not know what you're buying. We have no idea. It's completely anonymous. We don't know. But what happens when you do that, people, is it gives us a little love and it helps us continue to grow the show and continue to do these podcasts and produce our videos. So please subscribe to the podcast, subscribe to our YouTube channel over at youtube.com/Parts Counter Gurus. We would much appreciate that. Tell a friend. And leave comments, talk to us. We love it. We like interacting with you guys. So, anyway, so what's next on the plate here? This is a good one.
This is a good one to end on. So
I think so.
All right. So I don't know how else to say this. I mean, we just got to get into it. So Nissan has apparently over the past few years been using interns to sit in traffic jams for research. And I mean, what better use of an intern, right? Like when you think of interns, I've done it. I hated it. Intern jobs are typically the worst jobs that nobody wants.
Right.
We all like sitting in traffic in our cars, right? So
I love it. Yeah, just love it. Well, let me just say this. There's an advantage to sitting in a car in traffic. You get to listen to podcasts like this.
That's true. And, I used to have some police officer friends that would tell me all the time, they're like, when I'm at work, it doesn't bother me at all. I don't mind it at all.
I don't either. I don't know if I'm you. If you're me, if I'm you, that would be weird. But anyway, I personally like to. I always said this when I had my commute into work, when I was actually working physically in an office.
A little parent trap action going on here.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I would. Always listen to podcasts or something. I wind down going into work.
Right.
In other words, because that's kind of it helped me get through the day, and I would look forward to that, drive home show, right. The drive home shows, so to speak, sports or whatever.
Yeah. Well, it better be this one, which you can find over on our website.
Let's just hope this intern. Let's just hope this intern. Yeah. Let's just hope this intern had ways of keeping themselves busy.
Right. So basically the deal is that they would search out traffic delays, probably like using Google Maps and a lot of the stuff that we have now, and then they would send this guy out if they would find one. Mm-hmm. They would send him out to it. Now they would intentionally target like rush hour, like morning and evening, because they knew those were going to be, Jay, if you're going fishing, go where the fish are, right? Like you don't fish in your neighbor's swimming pool where there aren't any fish. So
exactly. Good analogy.
Right.
Yes.
So they're sending him in. So, but why? Why were they doing this? Were they just mean? Are these just awful people over at Nissan that just like to make interns suffer? Yeah, you go ahead. You want to let the cat out of the bag?
It has to do with customer. It came from customer feedback basically, and they're looking to improve upon Nissan's ProPilot Assist.
Yep.
With Navalink with Navalink system. It's available on the all-new 2021 Nissan Rogue and the all-new 2022 Pathfinder. The system syncs with the car's navigation system to better predict the freeway ahead. So the bottom line is you have to have. Look, it's like Google Earth or Google Maps, right? You have to send someone out there to video all of these things,
right?
To traverse across the globe to give you factual, real data. So this is probably a situation where they have, they're using their brains and they want to further develop it and improve upon their system. So unfortunately, this guy was
and
he pulled the
apparently
short straw.
they would make changes to the systems that you just talked about and send him out to test them. Now, I will tell you why I think this matters. So, and there's good and bad to this, and I'll explain that in a minute. So my wife's car, which we previously established, has horrible windshield wipers and the gas light's always on.
Why would you do that to her, Keith?
Leave the gas? I usually go put gas in it as soon as I get in it because it's on empty. I bought the best wipers I could find.
Well, what are you trying to? Does she listen to the podcast?
Yeah, probably not. I don't know.
Okay, I just want to make sure you're not getting in trouble here.
Well, it's all stuff I would say at the dinner table. I mean,
Anyway, Go ahead.
So she's got a car that has that feature. It's a Lexus, and it's built into the cruise control system where if it detects a vehicle stop in front of you, and I've used it. Like I've been in city traffic, and it'll be 3 miles an hour, and then it'll go to a stop, and it'll be 5 miles an hour and go to a stop, and that just on the brake, off the brake, on the brake, off the brake. So I've set the cruise control and it'll stop and start for me. Now I'm sitting there watching. I'm not like just looking down and doing whatever I shouldn't be doing, but you just let your feet rest, and it'll.
Right.
Now that one I think is a minute, and if you're stopped for more than a minute, it'll disengage, and it'll start beeping at you. Apparently, Nissan started at 3 seconds, and they were getting a lot of customer complaints. Hey, 3 seconds is way too short.
Right.
That's literally not enough time to even. It's just nothing. So I think they're in some of this testing, they're trying to find a happy medium that keeps you comfortable, but doesn't let you take naps, right? Like we're seeing people do with their, this isn't like Consumer Reports, right? Like where they're just trying to trick the car.
So their goal was to get out, for those of you listening and watching, to get out, like Keith said initially, you go where the fish are. If you want to find out the true scenario to improve upon a system like this, you have to put yourself in the position of the worst case scenario. Worst case scenarios are going to give you the best results in an onboard system like this. So, but I hope that this guy was paid very well. I would hope to have been, because
I doubt it.
Gosh, man, I mean I've driven through some pretty nasty cities, Seattle being one of them. So if they're improving upon this to the point that it would help me get through that city in these circumstances, I'm all for this type of situation. Sign me up. I want to be that intern, man.
Well, it looks like he's moved on. He now works with what they call human machine interface, HMI, which is basically machine learning in the automotive industry. And he has a special focus on what Nissan calls their ProPilot Assist system, which enhances the car's connection with their vehicle. So he kind of progressed into that as a career.
Right, and that's very awesome. That's how you do things. Just as any internship, you hope that will spawn a job offering in the future, or steer you in the direction of your studies, what you've chosen to do for the rest of your life. But for those of you out there going to be purchasing a Nissan with the ProPilot Assist, you need to give a big hats off to this guy.
Yep. Right now, that's the 2021 Rogue or newer, and the 22 Pathfinder or newer. Yeah, the guys. If you can say his last name, more power to you.
I'm gonna go Sizkowski.
Okay.
Simskowski. I don't know.
See, now you know why I didn't touch it.
So anybody out there in listening land, please leave a comment on this video or on our website, and let us know the correct pronunciation of this gentleman's name. So, but thank you, sir, for doing your job and taking one for the country.
Yep, literally. Yep.
So there you have it. Wow. Fun. We're always turning up great stuff on this podcast. I got to give a hats off to my co-host, my good friend Keith over there, for steering us always. We do a lot of research and development for this show, and we have fun doing it. We have a lot of great guests on, as today I'm very honored and proud to have my dad on with us. thank you, Dad, for being on today. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
And I am who I am because of him. If you knew my dad and you know me, you will really get what I'm talking about in so many ways. He is also a musician. I would not have probably been interested in it without him, I think. He steered me in that direction as well. Started out behind a drum kit and decided I wanted to take it all up front, so I gave up playing drums and started singing. So there you go. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. So, and Keith, by the way, in case any of you didn't know, Keith is quite the talented musician himself. So, I don't know if I told you that, Dad. Did I tell you that?
You did mention it.
Yeah.
I'm a 50-year veteran of music.
See? My dad cut an album in Nashville on Music Row. He was in a band called Buddy and the Creations. Please feel free to go over to youtube.com and check out Buddy and the Creations. We'll put a link up on our mentioned on the podcast for you guys, and go listen to some of their great music. As a matter of fact, I had the pleasure of sitting with Buddy himself the other day. He's been a longtime friend of my dad's, but he's been such a great friend of the family. But not only that, he's been a great person to have in our community here, our hometown. So always fun to be with him. But talking about a great drummer, and I think Dad will agree with that. Buddy was probably one of the best drummers I think he ever had back there behind the kit. So, but he moved on to sing and play some keyboards. So I'm giving a shout out to Buddy. So make sure he subscribes, Dad.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we also ended up with Double Shot Band.
Double Shot Band.
We have something on YouTube with that too. It's the swinging Double Shot Band.
There you go. There you go. Some of that East Coast shaggin' music, man, is what we like to call it. What's that?
I asked Keith what instrument he played.
Everything.
Oh boy. Well, see, my first mistake was I started in education, and so we have that in common, and went through music school and had to learn to play a lot of stuff, but play at it, maybe not play well at it. But just that's where I learned to pick up, strings. I had always done, I guess from the time I was, 8, 10, sang, and then picked up piano, probably middle school, keyboards, and then brass instruments in elementary school also. And then never got into percussion, so that's kind of one of the ones that I never touched. And then woodwinds, I never really really went down that road either. Of course, now much to my my son's into woodwinds, so we got that. I think it's just because he wants to be different, but yeah.
Or annoy you. Yeah.
Strings I probably picked up the latest, and that's probably my weakest. I can play guitar parts. I can play some bass parts. I can play cello stuff, but I'm not somebody you would want cutting an album. You wouldn't want me playing the part,
But you can get up on stage and keep rhythm, can't you?
If I had enough, if you gave me a couple weeks and I knew what we were playing and, we weren't playing Stump the Band, yeah, I could get you through it. Nobody'd know.
Right.
The band would know, but the audience wouldn't,
Right. So you're no Paul Schaefer?
I'm convinced Paul's thing was just act as if. I'm not trying to take away his talent, his gift.
Yeah, yeah.
But he was basically just, it's like a high school basketball game. He was just covering everybody's,
Yeah, he was a comedian, man, too.
Yeah.
I think he was better at ad-lib and being a comic than, but he was great, though. I loved all of his antics, and that's just groovy, man, sort of stuff.
In that sort of outlet, Close was good.
Yes.
Like if you're just out there covering, whatever in the intermission between commercials, the audience is going to love it,
Right. Exactly. So, well, that's great. We have had a blast today having my dad on the podcast. Again, thank you, Dad, for being on. I really appreciate it. It's an honor to have you on with us. It's close to Father's Day, so I can't think of a better gift, as a father, to have my father on with me on our podcast. This is awesome. So we'll certainly share it with his grandchildren. This is going to be great. But I want to say this is a good way to lead up to our 100th episode. And I want to tell everyone, make sure you stay tuned because we are very, very near that 100th episode. We got some good things going to be happening during that episode. We're looking forward to it. So you got to stay tuned. Please make sure you subscribe to our podcast to be alerted to when that comes out. We're almost there. Keith, you got anything else you want to add to this?
No, it's great. I'm very appreciative. Thanks to your dad for sitting in with us. I hope he is willing to do it again. It'd be fun as many times as he wants to do it.
We'll get him on.
And I'd be glad to, when you come and visit me and park in my
there you go.
yard.
There you go. We've already prepared you for that, man.
I've got a spot waiting. Yep,
you got it. Very, very close to everything you need to be. Everywhere you need to be. So there you go.
I may just stay on the road perpetually at this point. I may just go.
If we continue to get the support that we keep getting from our viewers, I think that's going to be something that we're going to just by default we're going to need to be doing is getting out and seeing our fans. So
yep.
So
RVing's a good life.
Absolutely, it's a great life. I could definitely use some RV life in right now, man. So, but Keith, as always, it's been a great show. Pleasure to be with you today. Thanks for doing all that you do. Thanks for being my partner. And why don't you take us out with a great piece of advice or just whatever comes out of you, man.
I feel this is fitting considering the audience. Smile and the world smiles with you. Fart and you stand alone.
Amen.
Yes.
All right, everybody. Thanks for listening and watching. We'll see you next time.
Take care.